Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so very good morning to all of you in this class, into data structure class. Here I am discussing about the different topics of the data structure. I think half of the class is already studied about the some data structure. Is this right? Do you have any idea about the data structures?
No, ma'am.
No.
No, ma'am.
Okay. So, in this data structure class, I will discuss the different topics like you in C programming, you have already studied about the array structure. All these things you have already studied in C programming.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, you have the idea about the array structure. Okay. So now I started the data structure. So before starting the data structure, firstly, what is data? Data, data is a basic fact or entity that is used in the calculation or manipulation. When we talk about the data as a single value, it refers to a data item or it may be a set of value, then it is called as a data. So like in the computer, if you want to do anything like manipulation or any operation on the computer, you have some data. So if data is processed in a efficient manner or in a good manner, then it can produce some information. It's like in the C programming, you have used some addition task. So you produce the some input value and corresponding to these input value, find out the resultant value. So for this, there are the various ways to implement this addition process. If we use the efficient process, then we can find out our result very fast manner or very accurate manner. So firstly, data, data requirement, then on the data, how we can process the information or produce the information from the data. So now, when we produce the information from the data, what is the efficient way? How we can produce the information in a very good manner or in a fast way. So for this purpose, we use the some representation or some structure that is called as a data structure. So that is the need of the data structure. We can perform the one task on the various ways. What is the efficient task in your context? That is the requirement of there is some data structure. So we can say the data structure, basically it is a organization or way of organization to data. Or in other terms, we can say the logical or mathematical model of a particular organization of data. It is called as a data structure. So data structure as a way to organize the data item. It not only consider only just the element to storing in a some way, what we also see what is the relationship between these items. Corresponding to these items, we can organize the data. So now, when you started to selecting the data structure for a particular task, data structure you can see in a real life example where you can see such type of data structures applications, like in the library, there are the books arrangement. If we randomly arrange the book or store the books in a library, then it is very difficult to find out the particular book to a person. So there are the some arrangement is used to organize these books. So that is a one application of data structure. There may be the possibility some other person can use the other data structure to organize the data or other way to organize the books in a library. So there are the different data structures are used for a particular application. But how we can select which data structure is appropriate for a particular program? So selection of data structure in any program is stressed on the following things. First one, the data structure must be rich enough in structure to reflect the relationship existing between the data. How the data items are correlated to each other. On that way, how we can select the particular data structure. And the second thing is, structure should be simple enough so that one can efficiently process the data when necessary. So like whenever you apply any data or you choose any data structure for a particular program or particular application, it should be simple enough. So if you want to modify the things, or maybe the data is very big amount, then you can process or simplify the data structures. Now, what are the different steps that are studied when you use the data structures? First thing, like logical or mathematical description of a structure, implementation of a structure on the computer, and quantitative analysis of a structure, which includes determining the amount of memory needed to store the structure and the time required to process the structure. First thing, how this is logically implemented, what will be the mathematical concept for this structure, then how we can implement this structure on the computer, like what are the different data types are used and these things. And another one, when you're selecting or implementing this, you have also considered like how much memory it is required to store this structure, as well as whenever we process this, how much time it will take to execute. So like for a particular program or particular application, you choose some data structures. So you have to consider like which data structure we have to take in for an application, as well as we have also considered like what type of mathematical structure, how we can implement, which language is appropriate for this, or whenever we implement it, how efficiently it can work. So before starting the data structure, firstly, I'm asking about the data types. All of you know about the data types?
Yes, ma'am.
So what is the data type? I don't want this class as a one-way communication.
Ma'am,
Yes.
ma'am, data type is something that determines the type of data stored in a variable, means the nature of data, like integer or string or character values like that.
Okay. So basically the data type defines a domain of allowed values, as well as what are the different operations that we can perform on that type of data, like int, char, or we can say float, and on these data type, what are the different operation we can perform. So in languages, there are different type of data type that are already built in. Another one is user data type, user defined data type, we can say as a user defined data type, or one is abstract data type. So anybody knows about the abstract data type?
No, ma'am.
No. Okay. So abstract data type is basically, if you're talking about the ADT, we can say in short form as a abstract data type. Because when we study the data structure subject, we focusing on the abstract data type. Abstract data type, it is a mathematical or concept that defines a data type logically. It specifies a data and collection of operation that can be performed. But basically when we talking about the abstract data type is just how the operation can be performed. What are the different operation can be performed on particular data type, but how these are implemented, this is not our concern. You can understand by the abstract meaning, abstraction. If you understood the abstraction means just we know about, like, this is the thing we have used this. Or you can say as a uh, if all of you are using as a Amazon website, Amazon shopping website, if you are using, then you choose the product from that site, pay the add into the cart and then pay the money. But you don't know about what is happening inside this. You just using the operation of this. This is the abstraction. You don't know how these things are implemented. This come into the category of abstraction. In this data structure subject, you will study about the stack data structure, queue data structure, where these are basically as a abstract data type. You use the operation, how the operations are used for a particular application, but how these things are implemented, that is not our concern. That come into the category of abstract data type, or we can say abstract data type as a black box. Like you are giving some input, corresponding to that particular input, find out the some output value, but what is happening inside this, you don't. So now come to the, if anybody has unmuted, then mute yourself. So now come to the classification of data structure. Classification of data structure, where there are two types of data structure. One is primitive data structures, another one is non-primitive data structure. Primitive data structure, where you see integer, real, character, boolean. That is already built in languages. Now, another one is the non-primitive data structures. Non-primitive data structures are those data structures that are built by the help of primitive data structures. So these are already you are using like integer whenever you want the input or output as a form of integer. You use the input data type or integer data structures, real, character, boolean. Now it comes to the
Ma'am,
category. Yes, yes.
ma'am, can you explain the non-primitive data structure
Yeah, yeah.
definition again?
Non-primitive data structures are those structures that is built by using the primitive data structures. Like if you're talking about the linear data structure, I am giving the examples. Like non-primitive data structures is already also classified in a linear and non-linear data structures. Linear, array, linked list, stack, queue, that are linear data structure, and non-linear are tree and graph. Now come to the non, why we call as a, we use the base of primitive data structure. If you are talking about the array is a linear data structure. Why we call as a linear or non-linear form? Linear means you are accessing any element or you are processing any element in a sequential manner. That is the form of linear data structure. And in when you're talking about the non-linear data structure, you are accessing the any element without sequential manner. You can access in a sequential as well non-sequential manner. So that is non-linear data structure. So array, if you're talking about the array data structure, already you have using the array data structure. What is the array data structure? Already in the C programming, you have used the array data
Collection
structure.
of similar data types.
Collection of similar type of item. Now, why we call like this is the non-primitive that is based on the primitive data structure? Like in the array, collection of similar type of data item, that is the array. You can define your array either using the integer values or you can use the real value or you can use the character values. Like all these value you can use for the definition of array data structure. So whenever we implement new data structure, that is based on these primitive data structure. That's why it is called as a non-primitive data structure. So now come to the, we can just give the introduction about all these linear data structure and non-linear data structure. After this, one by one, I will start all the topics like array you have already studied. So majorly I am focusing from this part, linked list, then stack, then queue, then tree and graph. And this is the whole syllabus of your data structure. So here is the definition, like primitive, the basic structure that are directly operated upon the machine instructions like integer, floats are these. And non-primitive, the structure that are derived from the primitive data structures. It is classified in two types like linear. The data is arranged in linear fashion, although the way they are stored in the memory need not be a sequential. Like if you are inserted the element by using the array structure, how they are stored in a memory?
In
Like
continuous way.
in contiguous, like is in sequential manner, like there is a one element 0, then you can start with 1, then you 2, like this. In the memory you can find out the address of the another element by adding some value. So array is stored in a sequential manner, but if you talk about the linked list structure, This is also a linear data structure. Data is arranged in a linear fashion. Linear fashion means you can access the 0th element, then you can access the 1 element. You cannot directly access the element like 3. Although they are stored in the memory in a different locations, but whenever you want to access or you want to process the information from this structure, you can use in a linear fashion. That's why it is called as a linear data structures. Non-linear, like data structure is said to be non-linear if data is not arranged in a sequential manner. So like if you access the 0th element, then you can also able to access the another 0 plus 2th element directly. So now come to the brief introduction about the each data structure. Array is a collection of similar type of object that maps a series of memory sequence with same name. Array can be defined as a variable name with the size of array given in the index. So due to index-based data structure, any element can be directly accessed from the array by just giving the index of the element. So this is just one idea for the array. Now come to the part of linked list structure. So linked list structure, like if you are talking about the array structure, in what manner we can use the array structures, what are the different applications we can use the array structures. In the same manner, we can use the linked list structures. Linked list is a data structure in which node is made up of two elements, one with the node value and other with the pointer to next node. In the array, you have seen the elements are stored in a contiguous locations. Each one cell is used for the data item, like 0th, 1, like this manner. But when you're talking about the linked list structure, in the memory, one element is stored at this point, other element may be stored at this point. But when you access, like one other element, when you access the first element A, then B is accessed from this point. So it is a static memory allocation. There you can use the dynamic memory allocation. So that is also the advantage for the linked list structure. Like you can add up easily, you can delete easily, or in the like whenever you want to declare, firstly in the array you have to fix the size of the memory, but in the case of linked list there is no requirement to fix the size of the memory. So when you're talking about the linked list structure, particular one node is defined by the two values. One that consider the data item, like A is the data item, then it is stored in a one part or one field. Second field, this is used for the address of next element. Like if in the data there are the element like this. So first element is stored here. Now we want to access the next element B. In the linked list, in the memory, B may be stored at this point. But this node contains the address of this node. So after A, you can access the element B. So linked list is a data structure in which node is made up of two elements, one with the node value and other is the pointer to next node. Means one value that consists one field that consists of the data value, Another one that consists of the address of next node. Linked lists can dynamically vary its size during the execution of program. So whenever you have required any data point you want to insert dynamically, you can create a memory and then you can insert the element. So many type of linked lists are used, such as linear linked list, circular linked list, and doubly linked list. I will discuss all these things in detail when I will start this structure, linked list structure. In this class, I just briefly go through all the topics that I will cover in next classes. Okay, so now this is the example for the single linked list structure.
Excuse
Here
me,
you,
ma'am.
yes.
Ma'am, in array you said that
Hmm.
we access the data in a sequential manner.
Yes.
Ma'am, but if we suppose
Hmm.
if I have to access the fifth element, so we can
Hmm.
directly write ARR of 5. So, ma'am, we don't
Yeah,
need to go through all the four
yeah.
elements.
But you can say if directly access, yeah, or using the index element. Here you can see the index based data structure. By using the index, you can access the element. Okay. If you want to insert the element, how you can process this?
Ma'am, also that also we can do just by writing the index. Suppose if I want to insert at 6, so ARR of 6 is equal to the element.
Yes, but they all are stored in a sequential. Like if you want to access the element A, yeah, using the index value, you can access the element. Okay. But they
Yes, ma'am.
are using as a sequentially you can perform all these things. Index based you can do directly what that thing. But if you are storing all these things, how you can store? You can leave the places like 1 at just 0th position. If you want to insert any element, then you insert at the 0th position. In one position you can left, then you insert at the second position. Then you if you want to print all the elements, how you can print? Only just giving the index,
No, ma'am, by
like
taking a
0th
for loop and
position, one position, second
yes,
position, how they are printing all these things
in a sequential manner.
in a sequence. So what you understood about the sequential? All
Like
these
we
things,
can process the data one by one
yeah,
in an order.
one by one. Like at the 0th position, you can also find out the 1th position by using the some adding address of this, then the size of the memory, then you can find out the 1th element, then second element, then means whenever you want to print all the element, they are come into the sequential manner.
Yes, ma'am.
Like name of the all element or numbers like Aman, Amar, all these, and this one. So it is not like firstly the RAM, then randomly Amar, then the Aman. Basically, they are come into the process of like Amar, Aman, and then Ram. Like in this way, na?
Yes, ma'am.
So that's why it is called as a sequential manner. Okay, when you're talking about the linked list, they are also process like this. Like firstly, it will process this, then this, then this. But in the memory, like in the array, they are stored in a sequence. They are stored in a contiguous locations, like 0, then 1, then second. But when you're talking about the linked list, first element is stored at this point, then next one element like the B, that may be the possibility it will store the other position in the memory. Then how we can access? So this first element A, then again we have to process the B. So A second field consists the address of this B element in the memory. That's why whether it is not in the contiguous location in the memory or not in the linear fashion, but this is the linear data structure, because whenever we want to access, firstly we have to access this A, then B, then C, then D. Okay, the advantage of the linked list is कि like sometimes we have not find out the enough memory. So there are the different location, there is a memory is present, then we can utilize these memory by using the linked list data structure. There are some advantages and disadvantages if you compare the array and the linked list. Sometimes array may be useful and sometimes the linked list may be useful. So there are the different forms of the linked list structure. One is the singly linked list, circular linked list, doubly linked list. So single linked list representation like this. Here, the first element that consists the address of the next element. Then this second element that consists the address of next element like this. So we are using the one pointer, or we can say the element that consists the address of another one node. That is the single linked list structure. But when you're talking about the doubly linked list structure, like this manner. Like you can say in this manner. Like there are using the some pointer that consists this field that consists the address of next element, and this field that consists the address of previous element. In the single linked list, there is no possibility to access the previous element if you are at this position. But when you're talking about the doubly linked list structure, in this case, if you are here, you can access the next element as well as you have the possibility you can also go through this previous element, because you have the address of next as well as previous element. Now, if you're talking about the circular linked list structure, then this last node is connected to a first node. So that is in a circular motion. That type of, so in different application we use the different type of data structure. I have already told you, like for the according to application we can construct, we can define the different data structure. Maybe sometimes single linked list structure is better for a particular application, or sometimes doubly linked list structure or circular linked list structure is beneficial for a particular application. So depending on the application, we can apply this. So linked lists are commonly used to define the abstract data types such as queue, stack, and tree. So abstract data structure, like I have already told you, basically what are the operations that can be performed, whether knowing about how it can be implemented. So these are like queue data structure, stack data structure that is implemented by using either the array or the linear linked list structure. So basically abstract data type is what are the operations that can be performed, and data structure is implemented these operations. So by using the linked list or the array data structure, you can implement these abstract data type. So now come to the stack data structure. A stack is an abstract data type. It is an abstract data type structure. The application is basically the concept of the stack data structure is last in, first out. So like you can stack a book, like one book, then you cap the another one book, then you cap the another one book on that particular book. So you make it as a stack. Now, if you want to access this, so firstly, you started to accessing the top book, you drop that book, then again you can pick up the next top book like this manner. So the book that is kept in the last, that will be accessed firstly. So that is the concept of stack data structure. Means last in, first out. It can be used by two common operations, we can say as a operation or command, like push and pop operation. Here you can see the example like stack of dishes. You put all the dishes in a rack, then you can access first one disk that is kept lastly, and first disk that you have kept, that is accessed in lastly. So push and pop operation, like you pick up the dish from the stack of dishes that come to the pop operation. Means pop, we can say as a pop operation in the definition of stack, or you can understand as a delete the element or pick up the element from the stack of any item. And push operation, that is called as a or we can say as insert operation. So yeah, you put the dishes into this rack, that come the operation of push operation. So push insert an element into the stack at the top, while a pop fetches the last element from the stack. Element that is inserted first is fetched last. Stack are used in the computation like in calculator for expressions evaluation, syntax parsing. So there are the various applications where the stack data structure is used, like in the function calling mechanism, there is also using the stack data structure. Stack data structure, they directly use the operation of push and pop. They don't consider how these push and pop operations are implemented. They directly use these operations. So this is the theme of stack data structure. So we can implement these stack data structure either by using the array or by using the linked list structure. In the both way, we can implement this stack data structure. Their push and pop operation. Now, another one is queue data structure. This is also an abstract data type or abstract data structure. Queue data structure which supports first in, first out manner. Like you have seen this example. All the persons is standing in a row for waiting for the bus. So first person will go firstly into the bus, then second person go, then third person, then fourth, and then fifth person. So first in, first out. So those who come first, they will firstly exit. So queue has two ends in the stack. If you're talking about the stack data structure, if we make it as a logical representation like this. So there is a one end that is specified as a top. Always we consider as a top. From the top, you can delete the element or pop. We can say as a pop the element, and from the top you can insert the element, or we can say as a push element. So there is only one end is used for accessing the element. Either you are pushing or you are popping the element. But when you're talking about the queue data structure, there are the two ends are using. One is for the entering part and another one is used for the exit part. So queue has two ends, front and rear. Front point to the first element while rear pointing to the last element of the queue. So from the one end you delete the element, from the one end you insert the element. Queue are often implemented in operating system for ready queue or waiting queue to use the buffer to inter-process communication. So in the various application, this queue data structure is used, like in there are different processes are running onto the computer. Firstly, they are stored in the memory. So the process that come first, whether you are using the priority queue or you are using the simple queue mechanism. If you are using the priority queue, so they are inserted with some priority. Otherwise, in a simple queue structure, all the processes are stored, and the process that come first, that will go to the CPU firstly and executed like this manner. So in this type of application, this queue data structure is used where the two operations are performed, two ends are used to performing the operation, like for the front and the rear. So whenever the any process is deleted from the queue, or then from the front end it will be deleted, and from the rear end it will be inserted. Now come to the, so all these operations, like you are started to accessing, here is also the this one, this, then this, then this, then this. You cannot directly access this one text. You have to eliminate all these disks, then you reach to this one disk. So this is also the case of linear data structure. Like I have already classified here the linear data structure where array, linked list, stack and queue. Now come to the tree data structure. It is a hierarchical representation. Tree is a data structure in which each node has either 0 or n number of children with one parent. As the name suggested, tree has the root, their node and their branches. So one is the root node. These are the branches. There are the different terminology is used for the tree data structure. And these are the nodes. And the nodes that have no children, that is the leaf node. So if you are talking about the tree data structure, top node in the tree is called the root node. This is the root node, while node with 0 children is called the leaf node. So these node all are the leaf node. These are also the leaf node. Common operation in tree include insertion, deletion, and traversing. All these operations. Trees are commonly used when the maintenance of hierarchical data is required for the application where such is common feature. So like it is a hierarchical representation, you have seen the binary search and the linear search. In your C programming, have you done any searching mechanism for finding the element, either using the linear search or using the binary search?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you done this?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Binary search mechanism, there is a tree type of structure. What is the process in the binary search mechanism? Anybody has recall like how we can do the binary search?
Divide and conquer, ma'am. Like we arrange the array in a sorted manner. Then we take two pointer, low pointer and high pointer, and we calculate the midpoint. And
Yeah.
we
Then in the that particular list, now again we are doing the same thing. Then we can find out. So like this manner, you can see this is not just as a binary tree structure. It is an array tree structure. When we talking about the binary tree structure like this, so maximum 2 children are possible for the particular node, so be more efficient than the linear search mechanism. So we will study about the, it is a hierarchical tree structure, non-linear data structure mechanism where you can access from the root node either this node, or you go to the right side, then you can also access this node, or maybe the this node mechanism. Tree is a very important concept in a day. All the topics are very important, but there are the different applications where the tree data structure is used. Like in a searching mechanism, B tree, B plus tree data structures are used efficiently. Now another one is the graph data structure. Graph is a data structure which is a collection of edges and vertices in which a pair of vertices is connected by an edge. So basically it is also considered the node and they are connected to each other. So like in the tree, or we can say in a graph structure, graph may be the cyclic or acyclic, both the way. Like from this part, you can go this part or you can go this part. So there may be the possibility of cycle or maybe not, like this. Or from in the graph data structure, you can access from this point or you can access from this point or you can access from this point. But when you're talking about the tree data structure, always you started from the root node and acyclic manner. There is no cycle mechanism in a tree data structure. But when you're talking about the graph data structure, that is also a non-linear data structure in which the collection of edges and vertices in a which pair of vertices connected by an edge. Graph can be either directed or undirected. Directed graph means there is a direction from one node to another node, or maybe undirected, there is no direction is given, like if you see from this point to this point, maybe go from Miami to Los Angeles or maybe from Los Angeles to Miami. But when you give the direction, then from the Los Angeles you can go to the Miami, but from Miami you cannot go to the Los Angeles by the same age, or maybe the other path you can go. Application in which graph can be used are the sitemap for the portals and problem for finding the shortest path. Graph are also used in the network analysis. So like which path will be more suitable to you. In that cases, we can use the graph data structure. There are the various, like if you are talking about your from your hostel to main building, or we can say as an administrative building, there are the different paths are possible. So you can go from the different direction and reach to that administrative building. But which one is suitable for you, or which one is the shortest path? So these things can be analyzed by using the graph data structure. There is also the concept of heap, that is not basically describing this majorly a data structure. Heap is a data structure based on the tree in which each element is associated with the key. So basically, when you want to find out the minimum value or the maximum value, in that cases, we can use the heap data structure. Now, when you're talking about the data structure, you have defined like these are the different type of data structure will be used for the implementation purpose. So now what are the different operation that we can perform on these data structure? So either you are using the array, you are using the
Excuse me,
linked list.
ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, could you please repeat the heap part once more?
Which part?
Ma'am, heap data structure.
Okay, heap data structure. Heap is a data set based on the tree which has the element associated with the key. Basically, it is implementation by using the tree data structure, or basically it is also a tree structure heap. But in the heap data structure, basically there are the some properties are used. Like every node, there is some value as well as is consist of one key value, one key also there. So like structure in the form, like all the elements are arranged in a ascending manner or all the elements are arranged in a descending manner. So basically the operation where the heap is used like for finding the maximum value, how efficiently we find the maximum value or how efficiently we find the minimum value, that is used for the heap data structure. For the maximum value we can use as a max heap. There are two types of heap data structure. One is the max heap data structure, another one is min heap data structure. Basically it consists of complete binary tree property as well as the structural property, heapify property. I will discuss all these things broadly when I will start this tree data structure, heap sort algorithm, all these things I will discuss in a very detailed manner, because firstly we have to know about the complete binary tree structure. What is the heapify property? According to max heap and min heap, there is a heapify property. So whenever you construct your heap structure, you have to satisfy both the property. One is complete binarity as well as the heapify property. On these basis, we can develop the heap data structure, and different application we can use the heap data structure. So it is a part of the tree data structure, but it is used for the specific application. So that's why it is giving as a specific form. Okay. So now the data structures operations. So whenever you apply, yes,
Ma'am, like, sir, ma'am, for tree and a graph data structure, like there
yes,
are also the each node is connected with other. Ma'am, is that there is also concept of pointer like in the linked list? Like, is that there in one particular node there is single element and also the address of the another? Like each element is connected with that. So is that
each
anything?
and no. In this, you can understand in this way, like if you are talking about this example employee, okay, there is a social security number, name, last name, and address, and then age, then salary, then dependent. From the employee, if you want the dependent, okay, if you want the dependent, you go to from the employee to the dependent part. Okay, if you want the address, You directly go to from the employee, you go to the address, then you find out that what is the street area, all these things. For the name, you can go there. Social security number, you can go there. Like this. Okay. But if you are using here like employee, then firstly you access the name, then you access the address. So you don't directly go to the address form. There is the advantage of this tree data structure. Half part you can access or half part you can access in this manner. If you have studied the linear search and the binary search, then you have seen the cases binary search is more efficient. You can access from the linear search also the element. But how this is different? If we require some information, we can go through this manner. For the traversing element in the tree data structure, there are the different. If I am going to these operations, we can do to the all the data structure. Then you will understand how these operations can be performed on the array, on the linked list. When you're talking about the tree structure, then how they are traversed or how they are searched the element by this. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, got it.
I will, and when I will started all these operations, then I will discuss in detail all these things. So you better understand all these things. Okay. Like if you're talking about the, you want to, you want to, we can say, communicate with the director. Okay. You can directly go to the director. There is also the process like firstly you go to the one course coordinator, then course coordinator suggested to go to the head, then head suggested to go to the administrative building, their PA, and then their PA suggested to go to the director. There is a one mechanism, or maybe the possibility there is some mechanism that you can directly communicate with the director. So there are the different ways how we can access all these things. Sometimes there is no possibility, you have to process all these channel, then you can do all these things. Or sometimes there may be a possibility or there may be a mechanism you can directly doing all these things. So by using the different operation, you can understand more clearly about this. So data structures operations. Basically, when I will discuss all these things, in detail, I will not discuss about the array data structure. I think all of you have known about the array data structure, different operations on array data structure, like how we can traverse the element from the array data structure. You know about the declaration, their definition of array data structure, and how we can use this array data structure. So there are the operations like traversing, searching, inserting, deleting. These are the major operation that is performed on any data structure. Traversing means access all the element, accessing each record exactly once so that certain item in a record may be processed. Like the printing all the element. So that's come like traversing all the elements. Searching, finding the location of record with given key value. Searching any element from in given data structure. Inserting, adding the new element into given structure, or deleting or removing any element from the structure. So either you are using the array, you are using the linked list, tree data structure, graph data structure, in all, or you are using the abstract data structure like stack, queue, all these things, how you can insert, traverse, searching, and deleting. All these operation how we can perform. There are the some special cases like the sorting mechanism, how we can arrange the data, and merging like combining the record from the one structure to other structure. You have done the program of array merging. If there are the two array are given to you, how we can merge into the third array? Have you done this program? If I am
No.
giving two array, okay, from a certain size, now I am saying merge two array in a one array. Can you do this? I think you can do this easily.
Merge means, ma'am, addition or
Merge
something
means
else?
you can say there are the three classes. Oh, section A, section B, and section C. Okay, I am taking in a one class. So I am merging all the elements, all the student in a one class. So what I am doing here? It's like there is a one
merging the classes.
there is a one space where I am storing, or we can say the all the elements or all the instruments are placed in this one team. There are the three different, we can say there are the three different sections, and I have created the one section where all these three sections are merged. There is no operations like adding or multiplication, all these things I am not doing here. I am just storing all the element here. Understood? Maybe the on the basis of application you can merge like in a sorting manner, sorted array. Like I am arranging all the sections student in a we can say in a lexicographical order. So all the students are arranged in such a manner. Ki when I am taking the what we can say attendance, in that case I am arranging all the element in a one order, all three sections. So there is a mechanism of merging, and another one is a sorting. Like for the one data structure, how you can arrange the element, like either in the ascending order or in descending order. So sorting, I think you have done the sorting, selection sort, insertion sort in C programming. Have you done this?
Yeah,
we
yes,
have
ma'am.
done bubble sort.
Bubble sort and selection sort, insertion sort?
Not done.
Not done.
Actually, it was given in one of the assignment. The bubble sort.
I'm asking because then I will start from these topics. Okay. If you are doing
Yes, ma'am.
already all these things, then I will start the another one topics. If you are not doing, then I will start from the scratch. Like when I will start the topic of sorting, then I am starting from the bubble sort, then insertion, then selection, then quick sort, heap sort, merge sort, cell sort, bucket sort. There are different type of sorting mechanisms.
Only we have done the bubble sort.
Okay, so all of you, I think most of the student have used only the bubble sort mechanism.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so whenever I will start the sorting, I will do all these sorting mechanisms, their program, and what is the basic concept behind this sorting mechanism. So the operations, like when you classify your data structure, like for the particular program you are using this data structure, then on this data structures how we can perform these operations, like what is the mechanism for the traversing, for the searching the element for a particular data structure, inserting, how we can insert the element for a particular structure, like whether you are using the tree data structure or you are using the linked list structure, how the elements are traversed, how the elements are searched, or a new one element is inserted, at what position, what location the element is inserted, and how we can delete the element from a particular location. So these are the operations that you will perform on particular data structure. Now there is a, like whenever you write any program, so firstly you make as a algorithm for that program, you specify what is the problem, corresponding to that problem you write something, like that is a one algorithm. And when you process this or you can execute this, so how much space or memory is required for a particular program, and how much time it is taking for the execution, all these things you also consider. So like data structure should be efficient. Whenever you choose any data structure for a particular problem, it should be efficient in the sense, like it should execute fastly, it taking very less amount of memory. In that sense we can say the data structure is efficient. So in real life problems or in any problem, when we want to develop any softwares, we choose the data structures. So we have considered all these parameters. Like simple, data structure should be simple enough. Data structure should be efficient in terms of their space as well as time. But majorly we concern about the time complexity, because in the sense of space, uh, we can uh, we can use the extra memory for the space point. So now come to the algorithmic analysis. So what is the task? So firstly, we have to define the problem, what problem we are solving. So what task to be completed. Now come to the what is the time and space performance. So what is an algorithm? Finite set of instructions that if followed to accomplish a particular task. Like when you want to study about this data structure subject, you enrolled into the MS team. Then in MS team, I have scheduled the meetings. Then you join the meeting. Then you listen all these things. So there are some set of instructions that are play for one class. So you follow the some set of instructions for accomplishing some task. That is algorithm. So now criteria to follow for the particular algorithm: input 0 or more quantities, output 1 or more quantities. So whenever you write any algorithm, you use something like definedness, like clarity and precision of each instruction. Like if you want to access this class, so you log into the MS team. That is a one precise instruction you are doing. So like this manner, effectiveness, each instruction has to be basic enough and feasible. Effectiveness, like each instruction must be basic enough to carry it out. So like you are using the pen and paper, then you are doing all these things. it also be feasible. Finiteness, the algorithm has to stop after a finite number of steps. So like if you are using the addition program, you use the some input, you want some output. For this, you write some instructions like these are the variable, these are the input you are using. Then there is a one finite output you find out. So for constructing, whenever you write any program, you have some instruction in your mind like we can do in this way, then we can find out the output value. So that is the algorithm. Now what is the requirement for analyzing this? Like in general, when we talk about the performance, we are interested in how much CPU time or memory is actually used when program is under execution. So analyzing this, whenever we write any program, how much time it will take to execute that particular program and how much space is required. This depends on the machine compiler as well as the style of coding. So when we talk about the complexity, we are interested in how does the resource requirement of a program or a algorithm. So the data structure used for a particular, you can note down like data structure used for a particular algorithm can greatly affect its performance. So like if you are choosing the appropriate data structure, then there is a possibility the performance of the program is increasing if you are using right data structure. Like there is a one example you can see here, an array element, we might have to perform n number of checks in order to find any element. The time it takes to search an array in linear proportional to the number of element in the array. With binary search, the time required is sublinear. So it, like binary search is more efficient than the linearly search mechanism. So thus when we searching the large amount of data, the data structure chosen can make a difference in the application performance. For the smaller data, sometimes there is no harm to use the different data structure. But when you're talking about the large data, you choose the efficient data structure that will uh, reflect in your performance of the program. When we consider the complexity of the program, we don't really care the exact number of operation that has to be performed. Instead, we are interested how the number of operation relate to the problem size. So sometimes there are the, according to problem size, there are the number of operations are performed, but they are executed in a small number of times or sometimes they are taking the large time. So in the complexity point of view, a measure the performance of the algorithm. There are some internal and the external factors. Internal factors like efficiency in terms of time required to run and space required to run. External, size of the input of the algorithm, speed of the computer, and quality of compiler. Basically, we don't focus on these tasks. We focus on the algorithm in terms of time as well as in terms of space and majorly focus on the time required to run. So complexity measures the internal factor, usually more interested in time than space. The two type of like space complexity, how much space is required, and time complexity, how much time is required to run the algorithm. So if you're talking about the space complexity, the amount I have already told you, like amount of memory required by an algorithm to run to the completion. Like space complexity, if you're talking about the space complexity, it is like fixed part as well as the variable part. Size required to store certain data variable that is independent of the size of program input. Another one is variable part. Variable part space needed by the variable whose size is dependent on the size of the program. So array containing the n number. Space of a particular program is depend on the constant or fixed part as well as for the variable part. That add up, then find out the space complexity of the program, like how much space is required. Basically, for the fixed requirements include the instruction space, or we can say space needed to store the code. Struct or constant they are using. Now, in terms of time complexity, often more important than space, space available tend to be larger and larger. Time is still a problem for us. So, like time, if you're talking about the time complexity, they are come into the asymptotic notations. Like either you run, there are the different ways to find out the time complexity. One is idea is you run the program, you set the clock, then how much time it will take to run the program, but it is dependent on the machine application. Okay, now the second thing is algorithmically we can find out like one step on all the programming step, which step is executed, how much time it will take to execute this one. On that basis, we can find out the time complexity. I'm discussing all these things, asymptotic notations. Firstly, I'm discussing about all these things. Okay, big O notations. Firstly, start with this asymptotic notations for computing the time complexity. Asymptotic is a line that continually approaches a given curve but does not meet at any finite distance. So you can see like this, they are asymptotically increasing for the x and x plus 1. So we can say f and g are asymptotic and write if fx by gx equal to c. Now, it provides the information about the relative rate of growth of a pair of function of a single integer real variable and hides the detail like behavior on a small input because results are more meaningful when input are extremely large. Basically, for the smaller input value, we can easily calculate what will be the time. But when you're talking about the larger data, if you have the larger amount of data, it is very difficult to find out what will be the exact time it will take to execute a particular program. So we not consider only the smaller value. We focusing on the if when the data is very large, then particular how the particular algorithm will work. How much time it will take to run if you are using such type of data structure.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, in the first sentence, it says that
Hmm.
it provides information about the relative rates of growth of a pair of functions. So,
Hmm.
in this context, what exactly are the pair of functions?
Pair of function I will discuss like if you are using like this. I will discuss about all these key like when the n will come. N basically when defined on the size of the input values. Then how it can grow. Be it analyze asymptotic notations are used to growth of the function. Like if the function is given in this way, if there is any function like 2n square plus n, how it can grow? When the data size n is any number that will increase, or we compare with the another one, like we don't know what is the exact n. Maybe it can grow to the infinite terms, or maybe the certain limit, but we don't know. So how it will work when the data side will increase? So growth of a pair of function, like if we are doing the another one function, then n plus 1, like this, n square plus n plus 1. If we are comparing this function and this function, the behavior of this function and the behavior of this function, how they can work for a particular like this or this. So growth of any function, or we can say the behavior of particular function, how we can analyze, we can use by using the asymptotic notations. And not consider the smaller value, because for the smaller value we can easily analyze all these things. But when we talking about the larger size, how this function can work or relatively work, execute, or in terms of if you are taking about the complexity terms, how it will be efficiently executed when the size will increase, what will be the upper limit or what will be the lower limit for that particular function. Or when we are comparing, like if you are taking as a linear search, for example, or you are taking as a binary search. For one or two element, there is no significance, or generally the algorithms are implemented for the larger value. We can analyze the behavior of particular application in a larger part or generalized form. So for the binary search, if we are talking about the behavior like this, sublinear form. So it takes the measured time in comparison to this. So we can relatively showing for this part as well as for this part. Which one is work well?
Ma'am,
Yes?
ma'am, suppose, let's say that I don't know about binary search. So, I
Yes.
have no idea what binary search is.
Mm-hmm.
So, the complexity of linear search will still be O of n, right?
Huh?
So, that means what are we comparing? Why is it O of n? What other function are we comparing it with in that case?
We are like is for if you are not taking the, maybe you are not taking the knowing about the binary search. Okay, you know about just the linear search mechanic. So it's showing कि there is any function that shows the upper limit for this. You know about what is the upper limit, upper bound of this. So we can analyze that function that showing like this particular linear search has the particular upper limit. I will discuss the definition of this also. There is two functions fn and gn. Fn is a big O of gn. So that particular function that is corresponding to this function fn showing like either for the upper limit or the lower limit or the average. Like if you want to buy any mobile, okay, then you ask to somebody कि I want to buy a mobile for a buy a mobile in the range like suggest me the some mobile. So anybody suggest you like you can buy the mobile that price is 1 lakh. It is appropriate for you. Yeah, sometime you can buy, but normally in terms you can buy as a 35, 45,000 or 20,000. That is more appropriate. So for you, there is a one comparison, or we can say the pair of functions that will compare you. Like we can buy a mobile in the range of like maximum we can buy on the range of 25, 30, or in the lower range we can buy like 10,000 or 9,000, this sense. So in that sense, relative rate of growth of a pair of function. So basically why we called this notations? We can use one particular data structure to implement the program or algorithm. We write any algorithm, then we analyze this algorithm, how it was executed. There is any possible like if data is increasing so much, then what will be the behavior of this? So there is any upper limit for this that can be analyzed via the functions. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, just to like confirm, so basically in the scenario of linear search, if we were to consider f of n and g of n, the function which implements linear search would be f of n, and O of n would be g of n.
Big O of gn. Then I will start the proper definition of these functions. Okay. So basically for the analyzing the behavior of any algorithm, there are big O, omega and theta. These are the three asymptotic notations are used for deciding about an algorithm being good, bad or for a given data.
So these three functions are the function we compare the algorithm that we created.
Either on the basis of big O notation, on the basis of theta notation, on the basis of their omega notations. So firstly, I analyze, yes?
Yeah, ma'am, I got it.
So analyzing any algorithm, big O notation is used to classify these algorithms, how they respond to change in input size. Big O is a method of expressing the upper bound of any algorithm running time. Like means it measures the longest amount of time it could possibly take for the algorithm to complete. Like whenever you write any algorithm, okay, then step by step, like it is not possible to each and every time you set a clock and then you analyze like it will be the time that will be take by particular algorithm. Whenever we write any algorithm, it should be generalized form, like whether is data is small, whether data is large, then how it will work or how it will perform. So this is the definition for the big O. Upper bound, it is often used to state the complexity of worst case analysis. Fn, there is a function of Fn is a big O of Gn. Equal, no, not called as a equal sense. we called as a Fn is a big O of Gn if and only if there are two positive constants C and N naught such that mod of Fn less than equal to C mod of Gn for all n is greater than equal to N naught. Fn is non-negative, we can simplify the last condition in this manner. So n is increases, Fn grows no faster than Gn. In other words, Gn is the asymptotic upper bound for the function Fn. You can see by using this graph. Fn is a one function that you are analyzing, then what will be the upper limit? We can say Fn can go maximum till this one, Cgn. So we can say Fn is a big O of Gn if and only if there are two positive constants C and N naught. C and N naught, this is the N naught, this is the break point, we can say. From that point, we can say this Gn has the upper bound to for the Fn. Just wait for a minute. Hello? Yes? Sorry, I'm busy till right now. This one. Now you can see how we can say like the complexity of this one is big O of NQ. So we can analyze this by using this example. If the function Fn is n square plus n, Gn is any function NQ, then n, if n is greater than equal to 1, then you know n is less than equal to NQ. Now n is greater than n, then n square is also less than equal to NQ. Then we analyze n square plus n less than equal to NQ, and another term if we can add up, then n square plus n is less than equal to 2NQ for any n is greater than equal to 1. If you put up the value of 1 plus 1, here is also 2 into 1, then 2. Then all the values of n is greater than equal to 1, then it will be satisfied. So this term that is called as a C, constant term, and this n is greater than equal to 1, that is the n naught. From that break point, you can see this is the upper bound for the function, this one. It cannot grow above from this function. So this will behave like this, Big O notation. So for the constant, we are using the Big O of 1. So there are the firstly I will discuss the omega notation and the theta notation. So omega notation, when we talking about the, firstly I am talking about the big O notation, then theta notation and omega notation. So omega notation is Fn is omega of Gn if and only if there are two positive constants C and N naught where we satisfy this condition. So what it will show? It will basically use as a lower bound mechanism. So Fn is non-negative, we can simplify the last condition. So n is increases, Fn grows no slower than Gn. Ki minimum it can execute it in this particular time. So Gn is asymptotic lower bound of Fn. So when you're talking about the upper bound, you can use as a big O of big O of Gn, or when we talking about the lower bound, you can use as a omega of Gn, as well as like in this manner, you can see at that particular point there is a, for the small data you can see the behavior is different, but at a certain point you can find out like Fn is always be faster than the Cgn. In similar manner we can find out the lower bound of this. For the theta notation, it is basically in between the lower and upper bound. Average, we can say as a average point ki Fn is of theta of Gn if and only if there are three positive constants C1, C2 and N naught. C1 Gn is less than equal to Fn mod of Fn less than equal to C2 mod of Gn for all N is greater than equal to N naught. It is basically a tau point because it is in between lower and upper bound mechanism. So like function that is working in between C1Gn and C2Gn. So we can find out the upper one, we can find out the lower one, then balancing this, then we can find out what is the average behavior of this. So now that can be calculated by using the function as well as by using the program. Like if you are writing a program, how we can analyze the complexity of particular program. So for the complexity purpose, like either on the basis of loops, nested loop, consecutive statement, if then statement and logarithmic complexity, we can analyze the VIVO. So for this part, you can see if you write this program, right, not as a whole program, this is basically a piece of code that is executing in a program. So you can see I equal to 1, I is less than equal to n and I plus plus, you execute this statement. Then how many times this statement is executed? Can you tell me how many times this statement can be executed?
N times.
N times. Why n times? Because for the for loop we started from I equal to 1. Then first time this statement is executed, there is some value of m. Then again we check I is less than I plus plus, then another value of I, we can check for this. So it will be executed n time. So there is a one constant that we are using, and because it is a constant, this is a particular statement that is executing in n times, so there is some value for this. Now n times, so the complexity come into the VIVO of n. We don't have the idea about the exact timing of this, but on the basis of a statement we can execute like how much time it will take to execute a particular program on the basis of their steps execution. Like for this program, there is also the one piece of code. This is a one statement that will be executed. This will be executed if you're talking about firstly started from this loop. Now for I equal to 1, you go to the this one loop, j equal to 1. Then this statement is executing. So it will execute in n times. Am I right or wrong?
Yes.
Now for I equal to 1, it is executing for n time. But how much time this loop is executed? that will take also 20. So what will be the complexity if
N
we
square.
talking about
Big of N
n
square.
into
Big of N square.
n square? You can see. Now for this part, tell me what will be the complexity for this.
Big of N square.
We go of n square. This is the whole.
We go of n
yes.
square plus n.
We go of n square plus n. How it will be taking? First statement is executing. This one statement is executing in a constant time. Okay. Now for this part, it is executing for I equal to 1 to, and there is a one loop. This particular statement is executed in constant time with n execution. So Cn. Now come to this part. So it will take n square c into n square term. So all the constant are different. C1 plus, if you're talking about the whole thing, C2 n plus C3 n square. So if you're talking about, because we considered the major term, it will take the larger time. So the complexity in terms of Cn n square. So like using different type of code, how we can execute it. On the base of execution, we can recognize the complexity. So there are the different things. That is also. I will also discuss the other different example for this. So now for this class, I have given just only the brief idea about the data structure, then their complexity terms, and which one complexity we are using, like time or space, all these things. Briefly, I am discussing about all these things. From the next class, I think I am skipping this array part because everybody knows about. I will provide the slides for this. One dimensional, two dimensional array, then how we can insert, delete the element. Or if you want, then I will discuss all these things. Array, two dimensional array, their multiplication, addition, all these things. Do you want to study, or I am started with the linked list data structure? Now I want to discuss something about your class schedule. Who is the CR of section A? Anybody is the CR of section A, B, and C?
Yes, ma'am. I am the
Abhinav, go
CR
ahead.
of section.
You are the CR
Yes,
of section
ma'am.
A. Okay.
Yes,
Now,
ma'am.
for the schedule, like I have a start Monday, I am scheduling one class from 8 to 10. Okay. Then one class I have taken as a Saturday. So I just want to replace this class with other one class. There is any modification in your timetable for EC and as management? Otherwise, my timing for the class is Monday 8 to 10 and Wednesday 8 to 9 and Thursday there is any class of 8 to 9? This is a class of management of IT industry.
Yes, ma'am. Thursday 8 to 9 we have the class.
You have the class. They are not arranging any other time.
Ma'am, on Wednesday you can take in the afternoon time. We don't have any
Afternoon
class from 2 till 6. Like you can take any time.
2 to 6. There is no class. But
As of now, we don't have any class. We have not been told.
okay, but
Like we
section
have not been given any timetable.
but section
Teachers,
B
what they have
has the
told, according to
lab
that, there is no
from
class.
2 to 5 in Wednesday.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
section B has the lab, na? And
Yes,
section,
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
I think section A and section B is free, but yeah, section B is not free at the time of 2 to 5. So there is no time in this between 2 to 5. So I think I have the option and this one. I have the option for the Wednesday class only just 8 to 9. Yeah. Because
Hello,
there
ma'am.
is, yes.
Ma'am, is it possible to postpone the Monday class a little late because the mess timing is from 8 to 9:30.
8 to
9:30.
which one?
The mess.
8
Breakfast,
to
ma'am.
9.
Here the mess.
Okay.
It's only open from 8 to 9:30.
So I'm starting with class will be 8:30. Okay. So you can take your breakfast till 8:30. Then I will start the class.
All right, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. So I think there is no possibility to arrange all the section. So my timing for this Monday 8:30 to 10 and Wednesday 8 to 9 because I'm not finding or any schedule rather this schedule. All the CR discuss to everyone, then also suggest me the timing if there is any possibility. Okay.
Then we will discuss the timing amongst ourselves for all the 3 batches, and then we'll tell you the free time.
Okay. Otherwise, if any other instructor taking any classes, then my timing is freeze like 8:30 to 10, Monday, Wednesday 8 to 9, and Friday 8 to 9. Okay. Or sometimes I will take the class if there is no possibility to take the classes on Wednesday or Thursday, Wednesday and Friday, then I will take on Saturday. But in rare cases, I will take the classes on Saturday. Okay. Ab now and another one CR of section B and section C.
Yes, ma'am.
You can also discuss with other CR, then inform me. My email ID is already on website.
Yes, ma'am. We'll discuss and then we'll tell you.
Okay? And anybody have any doubt regarding the classes, you can discuss with me. Freely, you can discuss with me. Okay, everyone?
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Ma'am,
Yes.
hello, ma'am. Saturday classes will run from the next week.
I'm saying no, this week, like 1920, there is a holiday. So I am taking the class Monday 8:30 to 10, and then Wednesday 8 to 9, and Friday 8 to 9. Friday is also not possible because there is a leave, so maybe I'm on holiday. So on some time I will take the class. I will inform you because there is a lot of time already run. So I want to take all the classes regularly. I will inform
Okay,
if
ma'am.
there is any time
Okay, ma'am.
before one day. I will inform you. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
I will inform the CR. So CR will float the information to all the student of section A, B, and C. Okay, everyone.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay, ma'am. Class is over.